Greetings, everyone. Um, so, I want to start by just thanking God for this opportunity. And I want to introduce myself. My name's Liz Nyambura Love, and I love Jesus with all my heart. I'm a minister of the gospel, and for that, I'm truly grateful. So, uh, I want to introduce the topic for this week, and the topic is on freedom. Freedom. I think freedom is a broad topic that we can just go into it even for a whole year, and we'll still have things to talk about. And so, I just want to go to this topic um, the way that God would have me speak. And so, to begin with, I want to introduce this topic by defining what even the dictionary, um, tells about the word freedom. Freedom. What does freedom mean? And so the dictionary will say that freedom is the power or the right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So that's why we have, things like freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. So that all comes from, one being able to exercise their right to say or go or think whatever it is that they want to think without hindrance. So another aspect you can look at it is freedom from confinement. And when we talk about confinement, we are talking about like closed places. So you can be confined, but then when you have the freedom to be able to, just walk around the way you want, get into a building, get out of a building, you have the freedom. But if you're confined, like in a jail, we know that when people are go to jail, there is what we know is confinement. They cannot leave. They cannot just do what they want to do when they want to do it. Another thing that you can have freedom from is servitude or forced labor. So there are people who work at a duress. You are forced to do something that you don't want to do. You're forced to do work that you don't want to do, and there's also the another way of looking at freedom, freedom from oppression. You can be oppressed. You can be in a situation where you are oppressed by people or by situations. You can have restrictions. Um, so when we are talking about freedom, you can be freed from those restrictions or from those oppressions that can be put there by individuals or even governments. And so when we are talking about freedom or the word freedom, that is precisely what even the dictionary defines it. And so I will speak on this angle of freedom from having talked about all that from the book of Exodus. And so in the book of Exodus, we know that there's like the word says, Exodus is like there's a certain kind of living. It's they're exiting. It's Exodus. But in the book of Exodus, in the beginning of the book of Exodus, we see what we call the burning bush encounter. And so I want to speak on that when God comes to Moses in Exodus chapter 3, verse 7. I'm not going to go into so many verses, but I'll speak on two so that we can just, get started with this topic of freedom. So when God speaks to Moses after the burning bush, he says to Moses, the Bible says, the Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. You know, I am concerned about their suffering. And don't forget that I am concerned about their suffering. And so God is speaking to Moses and telling him, you know, I have had, you know, the cry. I've seen the misery that these people are going through their slave drivers. I've heard them crying because of the suffering that they are going through, and I am concerned about their suffering. And then in Exodus chapter 9, verse 1, that's when God tells Moses, this is what he says. It says, then the Lord said to Moses, go to Pharaoh and say to him, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says, let my people go so they may worship me. And that is where I want to speak from when I'm speaking about freedom. That's where I want us to, you know, land and think about what is God saying, owing to the fact that we have known that freedom is being able to have the power to have the right to speak, to think, or to do whatever it is that you want to do without confinement. And now we see God addressing Moses and telling him about his people, and tells him, go to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go. To let my people go. So I want to speak about freedom, looking at that what God said, let my people go. Let my people go. And now to understand, okay, why is God saying, let my people go? He gives that answer. Why do they need to go? Not just because they are suffering, not just because they're in misery, but let my people go so they may worship me. Some other translations will use the word, so they may serve me. And so I want to subject to us today, as I speak on this subject, that the freedom that we have been given, or the freedom that we need, of course, it's been given to us through Jesus Christ. And we know that the Old Testament, as you know, we know when the angel of death came during the time of their leaving Egypt, the angel of the Lord came, and it's called the angel of death, came and passed over the children of Israel because they had put blood on their doorposts. And so we know that is the representation of Jesus. Now that he has come, now that he has, helped us to bypass death, now that he has given us life, we have freedom. But do we truly understand why we have this freedom? Because the freedom that God gives us is so that we can go back to him. You remember when Adam would and Eve would walk with God and talk with God, and they were not afraid. They were free to actually talk with God. They were free to walk with him. They are free to discuss whatever it is that they, the Bible talks about walking in the cool of the day. You can imagine that just like having a leisure with God. And that is the freedom that he has accorded us through his son, Jesus Christ. And yet there are so many things in this world today, so many things that still come into our lives and put us in confinement, and put us into some kind of prisons, and put us into some kind of, or give us a weight that we cannot be able to serve God, we cannot be able to worship him. And when I'm speaking about this word freedom, when I'm speaking about the freedom that God has given us, I am saying to somebody out there today that God is saying, let my people go so that they may worship me. Let my people go. What is that has put you in a place where you feel defeated? What is that has put you in a place where you feel unworthy? What is that weighs in your heart that makes you not be able to, feel like a child of God, so that you cannot be able to approach him, What is that? And we know these are all the weight of sin that we are all born into, and when I'm speaking about this freedom, I want to, just even talk about things like the words that have been spoken to us. Some of us, we've been rejected, maybe, I've gone through that, great rejection. And so when you're rejected and you're thinking about what has happened in your life, and all you can think about is actually that, you cannot worship God. At least you cannot worship Him in truth and in spirit, because you're thinking about how could that person do this to me? And so I want to speak in those aspects of what are those words that have been given to you? What are those situations that are glaring at you? And maybe it's your bank statement. You look at it and you get so discouraged. Those are situations that are putting you into some kind of bondage. And with that, you cannot be able to worship God. You cannot be able to fully serve Him. And today He's saying, He's speaking to that, whatever it is, He's saying, let my people go so that they may be able to worship me. If there is a word that was spoken to you that has continued to fester in your mind, today God is speaking healing, because He wants you to be free. He wants you to be able to know who you are. He wants you to be able to understand why He actually brought you into this world. Because sometimes, when we are just concentrating on the issues that we are going through, the children of Israel, justifiably so, was so tormented. Remember when actually Moses even goes there and tells Pharaoh, you need to let these people go. This is what the God of Hebrew is saying. And Pharaoh is talking about, like, what God? Like, I don't even know what God you're talking about. What God of Hebrews? Us guys, we understand Him as Yahweh. Pharaoh did not have any understanding who this God is. Of course, in those days, pharaohs were known to be gods. And that is why his heart was so hardened by the mention of another God, who would send somebody like, Moses and Pharaoh. People are just walking. They don't even have chariots. And you're talking about to let a whole people go who work for this nation, who are our slaves. I mean, like, are you out of your mind? But these people were being tormented. And we know that when He spoke those words, the work was actually increased. And it became so rough and so bad for them. They were killed. I mean, for 400 years, that's all they knew about slavery. And so, it was just all they thought about. They woke up to go look for straws and make those bricks, and and it was a hard life. And God is saying that, to Moses, I have heard their cry. I want you to go and tell Pharaoh to let my people go so they may be able to worship. Like to just wake up, out there in the wilderness, and they don't have somebody telling them what time to wake up. They don't have somebody breathing on their ears, with insults and all kinds of things, that they could just concentrate on the God that they had known. They used to hear about Him. But they could not really worship Him. And that is the same thing that sometimes we go through situations and we are just tormented. And I'm speaking to a people out there, somebody who is so tormented with an issue, and you think it will never go back. God is saying right now, right this moment, let my people go. There is freedom for you. Whatever the situation has spoken to you, that is not who you are. Who you are is a child of God. You're the daughter of the Most High God. And He's here to help you. He's here to help you define who you are. He's here to allow you to understand why He created you. Because there is a great purpose for which He made you. But when you are looking at the situation around you, you're missing it, because, that's all you feel the pain. You feel the bitterness. Some of the people who are listening, they just cannot even forgive. But God is saying, I am bringing you freedom. And this kind of freedom that I'm bringing you has nothing to do with somebody saying, I'm sorry. Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that Christ has died for you. Even when you are yet a sinner, he died for you. He gave you that freedom to say that even you can be able to forgive. The power of resurrection that actually resurrected Jesus out of that tomb is present with us. So we are able to forgive. We are able to love, just love people without even asking for their permission. That is the freedom that God has accorded to us through his son, Jesus Christ. Him who was, crucified for something he never did. And he's saying the same way, there are things that have happened to you and you're justified. You're justified to be bitter. You're justified to be, mad. You're justified to not forgive. But we have a great example. We have him who has brought us, this freedom. And he says, let my people go. Let my people go. This is another time. This is another season for us as women. This is a time that we get to understand who we are. This is a time that we get to step on the position that God has given unto us. And that bitterness is not going to stop you. It is time you let go. Just let go. Let go. Let go. And so that is what we're going to discuss this week. That is the beginning. That is the opening. And I pray that you all are blessed by this topic. So I will stop there and just say, I'm looking forward even to engaging with us more. Like I said, I am a minister of the gospel. I've also authored a book. It's called Behind the Curtain, God is Working for You. On the story of Joseph. I don't want to go into it because, it has everything to do with the freedom that we are talking about, just getting to know who you are and being able to go through tough situations and be able to triumph because of who is in you, not because of yourself, not because of your friends, not because of what people did to you, not because of what they didn't do for you, but because of who God is in your life. And so I actually will show you the book. It looks like this. It's called Behind the Curtain, God is Working for You. You can find it on Amazon. Actually, right now it's on sale on Amazon. So I'll also maybe drop a link on here where you can get it. Otherwise, I'm looking forward. God bless you so much. God continue to show you his mercies. May he continue to just, strengthen you, give you courage in your heart that you may step into everything that he wants you to be. I love you. Bye-bye.